Yo, listen, check out the new series, Boxing Ego Unpack. Basically, just like the name suggests, I'm unpacking, certain hot trending topics, and I'm really going to go in detail, try to give you guys some analytical things to think about and some, just insight, my 2 cents. Boxing Ego Unpack. Let's get it. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack, coming to you live, Boxing Ego Unpack, yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack, coming to you live.
You don't want to see me fight Terence Crawford, I'll beat that boy ass. Yeah. Tell Bob how I am. Tell Bob how I am. For the hoe, Crawford the hoe. Them niggas scary, man. Man, steadily call out. Anybody can get it. The overweight niggas. All my dogs, killers. I'll fight Canelo too. American gonna get beat. I think so. Man, I ain't scared of no nigga from Nebraska. What that nigga say on that movie? Nigga say Nebraska. Nigga say I'm scared of a nigga from Nebraska. The illest nigga from Nebraska. Hey man, the illest nigga from Nebraska, man. You line that shit up. You scared of that, man? Hey man, nigga come to the snow for that, man. They say they want some Jew money. Hey, he's some dealers out there. Hey man, bro, I ain't scared of no boy. I ain't scared of nothing. I ain't been scared of something since I've been scared of the dog. I'm talking about Nebraska. If this guy don't go to his fight, I wanted to go. They advised me not to. It look easy to fight. I gonna pull up.
Errol Spence said he'll beat that boy Terence Crawford's ass and some more stuff. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chat channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working, Also, purchase tickets for the Box Fan Expo, link in the description. Also, ESPN Plus. I am an affiliate. These things help the channel. ESPN Plus, if you're going to get the UFC pay-per-view tonight with Max Holloway, purchase using my link. Again, this helps the channel. Now, Errol Spence, he posted a video, he did a live, and he was, feeling himself, and he said a couple things. He said he would fight Canelo, one thing of interest, and then he says, y'all don't want me to fight Terence Crawford. I'll beat that boy. I'll beat his ass or something. And he also said that call Al, let's get it. I don't fear no man. I'm not afraid of nobody. But basically, he's saying, you know what I'll do to Terence Crawford, right? I want to give my thoughts and just chime in. Listen, it's a good fight. Problem is, I don't see it happening. I think when it comes to Al Haymon, he has a vast stable. He has ways to pit his guys against, especially in the welterweight division. See, this is the thing. Errol Spence has options. And I don't think that Al Haymon doesn't want to see Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. However, he's going to put his fighter that he's advising in the position to, when they do fight, it's going to be undeniable, irrefutable who the A side is. I think that's what he's aligning him with, because if the fight, let's say that fight happened December of this year, like Wilder Fury happened last year, right? Then there would be some argument that could be in fact made, or that Top Rank could try to make, like, hey, Terence Crawford, he's a big star. He's done good numbers in Omaha. And, like, if Terence Crawford gets past Amir Khan, they'll be like, oh, he beat a guy like Amir Khan by knockout, or, however that fight plays out, right? But if they continue on this path that Errol Spence is already on, then I see with the names Top Rank has, I see literally, and this is no shade to Terence Crawford, but I see no way that he could fight in the same or similar or greater events than Errol Spence, because on the PBC side alone, you have compelling fights, a unification with Sean Porter, which sounds like it's in the works. He's coming off of a significant domination of Mikey Garcia. He shut Mikey Garcia out. So a world-class foe and elite level guy who, before this had beaten guys who were taller, bigger, powerful punchers like Dejan Zlatican, and bigger like Robert Easter, Broner, and whoever else, guys like Sergey Lipinets, who just retired Lamont Peterson. So for Errol Spence to dismantle that guy who's able to beat those guys and who's fought in multiple weight classes and categories, unified, and never really had those types of problems that he had that night against Spence, that was big for his resume. Errol Spence also has the Kell Brook. Kell Brook was undefeated at welterweight, even though he lost at middleweight to Golovkin, and he was coming down, so he was the bigger man, Kell Brook, because he was coming down from middleweight. These types of things. So, Spence also stopped Lamont Peterson, which people give credit to Sergey Lipinets for him stopping Lamont Peterson, but Errol Spence just a year before kind of put that in motion and put some miles on Lamont Peterson with the punishing fight. Spence took care of his mandatory that people haven't really heard. Ocampo, I was at the fight. He blew him out, he just destroyed him in one round. So the legend of Spence will continue to grow if he keeps putting on performances like this. And the bottom line is he has more guys he can put on performances like this that build his brand to the next level. Like I said, Sean Porter unification. Sean Porter has a better resume currently than Terence Crawford. Although I think Errol Spence and Terence Crawford are 1A, 1B, that's just my opinion and my gut feeling, because I rate Terence Crawford and I think he's a dope fighter as well as Errol Spence. But it doesn't change the fact that Sean Porter has fought the better names at that weight class because he spent more time at that weight class. Plus he fought at 165 as an amateur. There's like no way you could deny it. Crawford only has 2 fights at welterweight. So people don't look at the big picture. Fans, they want the fights now. They want what they want. And I get it. And you never see me on my channel overly advocate, business before boxing. But I understand the business and I understand the game plan. And like I said, there's nothing you could say that will convince me that Errol Spence fighting Pacquiao and fighting Danny Garcia and Sean Porter and Keith Thurman is bad for the brand of Errol Spence or hurt him. Again, I understand that Terence Crawford is a great fight for Errol Spence, and especially with this, adding fuel to the fire by them going back and forth and, both being boastful. But Terence Crawford, he hasn't had the names and the limelight like Pacquiao has. So a win over Pacquiao, especially for the sake of casuals, would be huge for Errol Spence if he could beat him, if that fight is made. Keith Thurman has also fought on big events in the welterweight division. Sean Porter versus Keith Thurman was a big fight. That was on like CBS or something, right? And a lot of people watched. 6 million people or whatever it was watched it. Keith Thurman has fought Danny Garcia. He's been in big fights. His last fight was on free TV, Fox, with Jose Cito Lopez. Terence Crawford's about to fight Amir Khan, ESPN pay-per-view. So it remains to be seen how many pay-per-views it does. So anytime there's a pay-per-view, if it doesn't hit a certain threshold of homes, then, it just doesn't have the same visibility. So I think the game plan is to not stall out the fight. Like, there's a lot of fights that could be made and it doesn't. And see, this is the difference. People want to be like new media. They want to talk like me and, say things like me. But what I'm saying makes sense. The difference is there's certain fights where the person is avoiding the fight that makes the most business sense and builds the brand and happens to be a good fight. Like, let's say Triple G versus Charlo. There's no reason for Triple G to not fight Charlo, but then fight Steve Rolls. You dig what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make sense for him to not listen to the WBC, not appease the fans with a greater fight, not, secure a Canelo mandatory position by fighting, and if he could beat Charlo, beat him, right, to fight Steve Rolls. It doesn't make sense for DAZN to cash him out. So that's different. What I'm saying here is totally different, because obviously the fans want to see Crawford and Spence, but the business behind branding Errol Spence, he has better options on his side of the fence that build his brand and can create that gap and separation where it's undeniable that he's the A side. And doing ESPN, Fox, Showtime joint promotion, you already know how that's going to be. Top Rank is going to try to argue their side that Crawford is the number one pound for pound and he's the A side, and it deserves the equal split and things like that. So to me, I think this is PBC using their own channels and their own avenues to build a star and put Errol Spence in the people's minds and in homes. He just did 47,500 where the Dallas Cowboys play versus Mikey Garcia. That's almost 50,000 seats. That's almost a Canelo number. But the difference is he had a dominant performance over Mikey Garcia. Even the Canelo Liam Smith was somewhat competitive. Canelo was winning, but there were some competitive moments. Errol Spence shut a better opponent out. Before that, he did 15,000. I was at that fight against Ocampo. So you see the plan. They're building a star, and they're making it non-negotiable who the A side is. Terence Crawford, he's a great fighter, but he doesn't have the name. He re-signed to Top Rank and these things. We knew this. He doesn't have the names without working with other promoters like Al Heyman or advisors or whatever you want to call them that generate the same event levels. You get what I'm saying? Jose Benavidez 2, Luis Collazo. We'll see what the Amir Khan fight does. Mean Machine. Like, these fights they're not going to be able to build the same extinction level event. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not these cataclysmic, huge, massive, colossal fights. The same options that Errol Spence has. So that's just my take on it. It's a good fight, Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. But if you push the fight right now, if PBC makes the fight right now, then one, they help Top Rank by creating a big fight instead of letting them fend for themselves. And two, they have to go through the rigmarole of Top Rank wanting equal rights and equal parts, and they could put up a bigger argument. But the more separation you create, then the more it becomes clear who the A side is and who isn't. So if you're going to work with the promoter, I think that's kind of the standpoint. We could push the fight right now, and we still have a case for our fighter to be the A side, but watch his next couple of fights. Watch his star power grow. Then there's no denying who the A side is. You could kick and scream, you could say whatever, but it's going to be clear that Errol Spence is the more household name based on his events and the level of opposition and his performances. So, I like the call out, but unfortunately I don't see it happening anytime soon. And Top Rank, it feels to me that they keep bringing up Al Heyman fighters because there's a great talent pool there with compelling fights, but it seems to me like a clout chase in a lot of situations. Lomachenko versus Mikey Garcia, he called him out. So Mikey's coming off a loss to Spence. Now you want to fight him, but you could have picked Mikey Garcia. Mikey said he would have fought Loma. He was a champion at 135. He still is right now. So he said he would fight Lomachenko. So realistically, there was no reason for that fight to not already have happened before Errol Spence, because Errol Spence was a pipe dream fight. People thought Mikey was joking when he was calling out Errol Spence. So Top Rank had every opportunity to really snatch Mikey and put on an event if they could work with him, give him something fair and reasonable. But they didn't. It didn't manifest. Now he beat Toyota Corolla. and all of a sudden, you know, Mikey's on the menu and Gervonta Tank Davis. These guys, their star power, well, not Mikey because he's coming off a loss, but guys like Spence and Gervonta Tank Davis, their star power keeps growing. Tank had a substitute opponent, Hugo Ruiz, and had Drake there, you know, the biggest recording artist right now. You know, had Drake come out and Birdman, and what happened to that boy? So again, it's good for conversation, good to go back and forth, but I'm already seeing the big picture, and I already see what's happening. Top Rank just don't have all the same talent pool for some of their stars to fight, and PBC's showing that, you know, by putting on their events because they have a deeper stable. And again, and this is my honest opinion, Bob Arum's been in the game longer than me. I'm not saying he has to take or listen to what I'm saying or take advice from me, but in my world, if you want to do business with somebody, talking shit about them is not usually the way you kick that off. You know, Bob Arum is taking jabs saying Al Heyman's a ghost and he's a machine, a robot, not even a real person, and PBC's a cancer, and Al Heyman doesn't want to make it, and go ask Floyd Mayweather, you know, snapping on reporters for asking about Gervonta Davis and Lomachenko, but Lomachenko and Bob Arum bring up Tank Davis, but when a reporter asks about Gervonta Davis, they get snapped on, you know. So I just don't think that from a business perspective, that's the best way to really secure and create a relationship or bridge the gap to come together on these big fights. But, you know, who am I? Let me know what you guys think. Errol Spence gets at Terence Crawford. That's my 2 cents. Make sure you smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Until next video, it's Ego signing off.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.